M1 Max MacBook Pro review, 1200 days later. Let's talk about it. So, I've been using the M1 Max MacBook Pro for the last 1200 days. And yes, that's about 2 years and 4 months, but this computer is insane. I love it. 1200 days and it still feels brand new. That's something that it's hard to explain. Nowadays, pieces of technology, they don't last that long. But the M1 Max MacBook Pro exceeded every expectation possible. This computer was the first generation of the new MacBook Pro design for Apple Silicon, and it was a complete success. Apple returned to its roots. It returned all of our precious I/O, the HDMI port, the SD card slot for our Pro needs, and that was insane. No one thought that could happen. They completely revamped the design so it's more comfortable and easier to hold, and they made the screen better, plain better. It's a mini LED screen now with a notch, which some people were against at that time, but I can tell you that 1200 days later, it's insanely good. I do not notice the notch anymore, and just gives you more real estate. Because again, this is a 16:10 display, and before it was a 16:10 display also. But now the screen goes up the notch and the camera size, while before it ended where the camera started. So you lost kind of a bit of a screen. Now the bezels are smaller and you gain that extra size for the display. There you can put your menu bar and it doesn't bother you anymore. So the notch, in my opinion, was a complete success. Gave you more free space of display. And obviously, Apple also added the incredible trackpad and keyboard that they revamped on the 2016 version of the computer with the trackpad and the 2019-16 version of the MacBook Pro with the keyboard, the Magic Keyboard. The Magic Keyboard here has no issues, super tactile, super easy to use. So yeah, let's dive into my experience for 1200 days with the M1 Max MacBook Pro. This is the 16-inch version. So before we do that, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Let's roll the intro. As for the design and durability of this computer, have nothing to complain about. It's super easy to hold, it's quite a bit heavy and bulky, but the design makes it beautiful to look at, super premium to use. And again, it's the best looking and best feeling computer in the market. Since 2021 that I've been using this computer now, the marks of use are not that much. If I pick up a cleaning cloth and I clean this computer, it will almost look brand new. Some scratches here and there on the aluminum case, but the display is still brand new and the aluminum case is also brand new. So durability for a computer with 2.5 years old, incredible. It's an expensive computer. It cost me around $3,500. But for the durability aspect and the futuristic aspect, it's still brand new. And it still performs like brand new, which is quite insane. Then, of course, you have the I/O, which makes this computer nowadays super helpful because I have an SD card now for my camera, for my drones. Then I also have HDMI on my university when I need to present a PowerPoint. And having these two ports, especially for the extra I/O on this machine, is super helpful. So in the last 2 years, I've used them a lot, especially the SD card slot. I use it almost every single day to edit and create videos for this channel. So makes a lot of sense that Apple put it back on a Pro machine. And I'm so happy. One thing that I wish I could have more in terms of I/O would be another USB-C port. It's never enough. I use so many USB-C accessories when I wanted to charge my iPhones, when I want to charge my gimbals, and even when I want to use external drives. I have an HD drive, so a 4 terabyte LASI drive that I want to connect and transfer big files there and store them for a long time, or I have my extremely fast Samsung T7 SSD for editing videos. Those two require 2 USB-C ports. And then I only have 1 USB-C port left to charge my iPad, to charge my iPhone, to charge my AirPods, to charge my Apple Watch, nothing more. I mean, it's a decision that you gotta make. Which one do you want to charge? And if I had another one, it would be easier and better. I could have 5 more if I could, but there's not an option. So at least putting another USB-C there, especially a Thunderbolt port, would be pretty helpful. The MagSafe port is super helpful. Lots of people don't talk about that, but the MagSafe port actually frees up a USB-C port. So if I needed to charge my computer from the USB-C port, which I can do whenever I want to from the 3 ports that I have available, then it would take up another USB-C port. And so putting there a MagSafe port is super useful because it actually frees up another USB-C. And of course, it's super secure and safe when you are charging at a coffee shop or at a busy place where anyone can trip on your wire anytime. It happens sometimes in the last 1200 days, in the last 2.5 years, happened several times. And that That saved my computer, especially me. I'm kind of clumsy around my cables, and several times around my table I've tripped up on this wire, and MagSafe completely saved my machine. So yeah, that feature, trust me, is super useful whenever you are not counting on it. And of course, the rest of the design is just beautiful to look at, beautiful to hold, and super comfy. If you decide to go for the 14-inch computer version of these machines or the newer MacBook Pros, that would be more comfortable. It will be the same design, the same things available on this 16-inch version and on the 14-inch version. The only difference would be the size of the display and the weight. This is quite heavy. If you are carrying around this every day on your backpack, you will become very strong with your back and you will notice the weight after a while. This is not a joke. This is heavy. This is bulky. But this is a very, very high performance machine. If you know that you want a portable computer that is portable but can rival a desktop, the 16-inch is a version for you. If you need an extremely portable computer that is actually a portable computer, then go for the 14-inch. Do you know what I mean? As for the display of this machine, features a 16-inch mini LED display with 120Hz technology. Yes, the first time that we saw ProMotion on a MacBook Pro. This was in 2021, and since then I cannot use any other type of display. This is so good. I even tried to buy external displays for this machine, but they were not on par with this amazing mini LED display. The colors, the blacks, the refresh rate, everything is top notch. And even when compared to the MacBook Airs that I've compared to, the M2, the M1, the M2 15-inch, all of those displays are good. It's a Retina display. It's still a 15-inch LCD display, P3 color gamut. Cannot compare with this machine. The blacks here are deeper. The contrast ratio is much better. And so it's just plain better to look at. It's so good when I'm using this machine to watch and streaming movies here. Everything is so good. And because of the amazing speakers and sound quality out of this machine, it's just blown out. This is almost like a speaker system outside of the machine. It's insane. These are the best speakers ever on a laptop that I've ever heard. And I've tested out Windows machines, the newer generation MacBook Airs, newer generation MacBook Pros on the Apple Store, and still, these speakers on the 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024 versions, whatever you buy since the 2021 generation, they are insane. Especially the 16-inch machine. Just take a hear how good they are.
And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
But again, like I was telling you, the display is good, but the bezels here are also smaller than the older generations, which makes this machine very, very future-proof, because the bezels are really, really thin. And now when compared to the newer generation MacBook Pros, because they are simply the same computer with a different chip, they are not behind. If you use this machine in 2024, it's a 2021 machine, you will not notice that you have an older machine, because the other ones, they look pretty much the same. The display on the other ones is 100 nits brighter than this one, but I guess outside, it's kind of useful. Inside, I do not notice any difference. And this display, top notch. No complaints. 10 out of 10. Totally worth the money. As for the keyboard and trackpad, these are the best I've ever touched on a machine, on a portable machine, so to be. Those mechanical keyboards on a desktop, those are better. But this machine, it's comfortable to type on. The keyboard is really reliable, does not miss any time, especially when compared to the butterfly keyboard found on older MacBook Pros. But this was refreshing to use. Comfortable, it was not very loud, and very reliable, which is very, very important for me. Then the trackpad is just the best in the business right now. And it's still amazing. Still the same trackpad found on the M3 Pro and M3 Max generation. So yeah, the difference here, almost none. The only big difference between these machines and the newer generations are the chips. And let me tell you, the M1 Max is no slouch. This chip still received updates for Apple for Final Cut Pro and other apps for optimization. So now it's even faster. It's just ridiculous. The M1 Max is an incredible piece of technology. If you compare it to the M3 Pro, I would say it's probably on par with the performance of that chip. This is 2 generations behind the M3 Pro. This is the M1 Max, so you can see how powerful it is. The GPU performance here, quite nice. This has 32 GPU cores, so in terms of raw performance, it's top notch still. This has 32 gigabytes of RAM of base, and you could upgrade it to 64. Would you do it? I didn't. It was quite expensive, and several times since in the last 2 years, I've saw the pop-up saying you almost ran out of memory, but like 2 times in 2 years. On those times, I wish I had more memory. But again, I was using Google Chrome, Final Cut Pro, editing photos, and streaming videos. So on Safari. So I cannot forgive the computer to run out of gigabytes of memory because again, Google Chrome kills your RAM. Joking, but it's true. Do not try it out. 1,000 tabs, it will kill your machine. So yeah, all of this to say that if you have 32 gigabytes of RAM, or you are thinking of putting a 32 gigabytes of RAM on your machine, it's plenty enough for most people. I would say 99% of them. As for the raw performance, these are the Cinebench scores, the new test from Cinebench. These are the scores. And this is the new Geekbench scores for the Geekbench 6. Again, do you care about it? Benchmarks are very, very relative to what you do. They can mean a lot, they can mean nothing. But in this case, again, empty benchmarks, they don't mean a lot. What it means a lot is my experience. And the last 2 years, I've edited all my videos on my channel, which are all filmed in 4K, 30 frames per second, now on my Sony for the last 8 months, and this machine does not hiccup once. Insane, insane. 2.5 years old, and it's still on top of his game. Incredible, incredible performance. Like, but I can tell you more. I'm an engineering student, and I had to 3D model on SolidWorks. Those engineering guys out there know what it means. SolidWorks is a very heavy program that can only run on Windows. So, yes, if you have a medium powerful machine on Windows, you can run it well. But this is a Mac, and this is an ARM machine, not an x86. So what I did have to do was to install a virtual machine using Parallels Desktop and run 2 layers of translation, x86 to ARM, and then Windows to macOS. So with 2 layers of translation, SolidWorks ran just fine, no issues. Playing games is also incredible on Parallels Desktop. So the performance of this machine is more than enough for most use cases. Even playing games on macOS here just runs fine. Like Fortnite here runs just fine, Minecraft runs just fine. Those simple games and those games that everyone likes to play, they run just fine. If you are a hardcore gamer, obviously I do not advise you to buy a Mac because your library of choice will be completely reduced to 2-3 games because games do not support Mac very well, or at least Mac does not support games very well. Apple tries it, developers don't want it. So this is more of a productivity machine than it is a gaming machine. So if you are someone looking into buying this computer, then be in mind that this is more focused for work, this is more focused for creators, for creating video, photo, 3D modeling, renders, than it is actually for gaming. So if you are a gamer, I wouldn't buy the MacBook Pro. As for the thing that surprised me the most was actually the battery life. The battery life here is insane. Lasted me 1 week if I only streamed videos and, do some simple tasks, Safari. But if I decide to edit, it's like a full edit, 5-6 hours. Insane, insane battery life. The M1 Max chip here is very efficient when you want to and super powerful when you want to. So the battery life here on the 16-inch, incredible. Apple Silicon, it's a miracle on that. So let me know in the question below what you thought about the M1 Max machine. In the last 1200 days, I'm in love. I'm completely happy with this purchase and it was totally worth the money. Again, costed me $3,500, but completely worth it, and I cannot wait to review it again in the next 2 years. So, thank you guys for watching, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. This has been Tech Summer talking to you here. Bye bye.